Keep going, making his Late Late Show debut tonight. How on earth has it taken this long? I'll never know. He changed the face of popular music forever, always ahead of the curve. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Boy George. George, how are you? Nice to see you. You're so welcome. Sit down. How are you?
I'm good. It's nice to be here.
It's lovely to have you on the programme. I think your first time on Late Late Show.
I can't believe I've never been on this show.
It took a while, but we got there.
Yes, I think I've been asked, but just never worked out.
We got here eventually, and we're so happy to see you. I can say welcome home, I think, in Ireland to you. I think that's very fair. You're extremely Irish.
I feel like, I come from an Irish family. Mum's from Dublin. Yeah. My dad's family are from Tipperary or Thurles, something like that. I've got family all over Ireland. And obviously a lot of my Irish family, moved to the UK. So Birmingham and London, Auntie Kit, this one, that one. I grew up with, a lot of Irishness in my life. It's a funny thing, isn't it? Because I always feel like if you're Jewish and your mum's Jewish, then you're Jewish. And I feel like my mother's Irish. I'm very Irish. I have the name O'Dowd. So when you're a kid,
you know all about it.
Yeah, O'Loud, I got called O'Loud.
Did you get a bit of mocking for that along the way?
Well, as you can imagine, as a kid, I got a lot of, a lot of comments, and I think that's probably why I was born to be in the business that I'm in, because, when I was a kid, I was kind of made to feel like an outsider. And
because of the Irishness?
No, just because of everything.
Oh, because of everything.
Irishness, gayness, all that stuff, so I felt like, I had to become more of a show-off, really.
Yeah, I'm curious about that because I understand. Just on the Irish thing for a moment, I mean, was it growing up with your folks and the extended family? Was it Irish music? I mean, would that have been featuring?
A little bit. Christmas Day, my Auntie Kit used to put on rebel songs, which I think in the 70s were allegedly not allowed to be played in the UK. But Christmas Day, we used to put on the rebel songs and listen to those songs. And I grew up with those songs, and of course, my uncle was Thomas Bryan, who, when I was a kid, I thought we related to Kevin Barry, so there was a bit of confusion. But as I got older, I realised that wasn't the case. But
fascinating, because of
I did Who Do You Think You Are? Found out about my uncle and found out about my grandmother as well, her life. So that's amazing.
Yeah, so you're kind of invested in the Irish story, War of Independence, and freedom of the country as a republic and so on.
Yeah.
When you talk about the music, whatever about the rebel songs, talk to me about David Bowie, because I get the sense that Bowie changed everything for you, that he was like a light descending from the sky almost.
I feel like Bowie was a sort of natural extension of the sort of rebel songs, really, in a way. Because he was, I lived in sort of grey suburbia. I was 11 when I saw Ziggy Stardust, and I don't know how I managed to get my father to buy me a ticket to see David Bowie when I was 11. Well, I just... because obviously, a lot of parents were like, you mustn't encourage them to watch things like this. And there is this idea that, if you watch something or you read something, it's going to have an effect on you. But it was too late for me, Yeah, it was too late for me in a way. So seeing David Bowie at 11 and a half, was just a life-changing moment for me. And
what happened? What happened when you watched him?
Well, there was nobody like him at the time. Pop music was very...
We always need feedback, positive or otherwise.
Pop music was very pop, and Bowie came along and sort of presented a whole different landscape. It was androgynous, it was mystical, And, through sort of Bowie, I learnt about Bob Dylan, because Bowie sang about Bob Dylan. So there was this kind of musical map of people that I discovered through... I heard about Cahill Gibran through Bowie because he mentions the poet Cahill Gibran in his songs.
Yes.
It was so much, Bowie was very informative, I think, for a teenager. There was so much stuff he told us about.
Do you feel he gave you permission to be more who you were? I mean, would that be too highfalutin?
No, I think it's absolutely what happened. When I first saw Bowie, I was like, well, my brother was the Bowie fan. I used to hear the Bowie records through my brother's bedroom door, and I was like, what is this mystical world that I'm not part of? And of course, when Bowie came along with Ziggy Stardust, my brother sort of moved on to Rod Stewart and the Faces, who I also loved. And I got given sort of Ziggy Stardust, if you like. It became my sort of domain. And, I met Bowie a few times, which was amazing. And in fact, it was great because it was one of the few times when I met someone famous where I was actually present. Do you know, where I was like, I'm meeting David Bowie, I'm in the moment. Whereas when I met Frank Sinatra, I was a little bit like, dizzy. And I always kicked myself for not being more present at that moment,
But you were there for Bowie, which is
totally,
critical.
I was like... Oh. amazing.
I remember watching Top of the Pops. This is why I'm so happy to meet you, because I remember watching Top of the Pops, and I think Shakin' Stevens or someone was due on or whatever, and the next thing, Culture Club show up. And I was young and you know, Irish and cosseted, I suppose, is all the same things you described earlier on, but I thought, where are we going here? I just thought it was colour, it was adventure, it was difference. I mean, was that a game change, the Top of the Pops appearance, do you think? Or was that a catalyst? Or
I remember getting the phone call to say we were going to be on Top of the Pops, and I just thought, that's it. I've made it. I mean, just one appearance was enough, because I grew up watching Top of the Pops religiously as a kid.
Yeah.
If you upset my father, Top of the Pops was turned off. So Thursday, it was like, you got best behaviour.
Yeah.
And it was a lifeline to everything that I wanted to be and do. You know, I was just so fascinated by the sort of bohemian rock and roll world. You know, I imagined it was very different to what it is. You know, but you know, I would say music has given me everything. You know,
did you want, if I may ask, what did you see when you saw the artists on Top of the Pops? Did you want to be famous? Did you want to make lots of money? Did you want to make music? What was the?
I think the sort of ambitions when I started were different, because you know, now you have shows like The Voice and you know, The Big Deal and things like that, so kids know what's possible. When I was a kid, I never really knew, you know, what was possible. You know, when I went to my sort of job interview at school and I said I want to be a makeup artist or in rock and roll, they laughed.
How does that go down?
Maybe you should lower your standards, you know. But I always knew that I was destined to either be in music or possibly fashion. If I, you know, if that was a second choice.
I think you did something really gorgeous for a generation in the way Bowie did for another generation, which was to go back to that thing about giving permission to people who wanted to look like you, who wanted to dress like you, but who felt very oppressed by societal norms, or whatever you want to call it. But I think you were kind of ahead of the curve. Do you accept that as a compliment?
Well, I think I was just being myself, and I suppose in a funny sort of way, being yourself is the most political act you can commit. You know, because you know, we live in a culture now where you know, I love the fact that this young generation is refusing to be told what to be. You know, but I do worry about us giving ourselves too many labels. You know, because at the end of the day, we're all spiritual entities. We are not our gender, our sexuality, or our race. We're more than that, if you want to look at it from a spiritual perspective. So that's kind of where I am now, really, with it. You know?
You got what you wanted in some ways. You got the fame, you got everything. How did you manage it? How did you cope with it all?
Disastrously. Did you not read the papers?
I want to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Well, you know, the thing is, you know, I'm in such an amazing place right now.
Yes,
you know,
good.
And I don't really think about my past too much.
Do you not?
You know, I try to stay very much in the present. You know, anything that takes me away from this moment, the future or the past, isn't particularly interesting to me. I'm very about alert awareness, you know, so I try to be in this moment, because this is what's happening right now.
Yeah, I understand.
You and me talking, that's it. It's the big bang of the moment.
So you're 13 years sober.
Yes.
And I read somewhere that it was a beautiful quote. I think you said it's like somebody cleaned the windows.
I think it is.
On the light or whatever.
I think it is a bit like that. And also I think sort of, you know, the spiritual kind of world is a bit like that as well, you know, where, you know, you get to see more and hear more and get to enjoy what you do more. I think that I enjoy what I do more than I ever did at the height of my fame.
Because
I'm just a happier person.
Are you Buddhist?
I practice Nichiren Buddhism, which is the Namyo Horenge Kyo one. It's the one that Tina Turner does. I always laugh because people always say it's the one that Tina Turner does.
And that brings something else to your life, Buddhism, I take it.
Well, I think that it's, you know, chanting and meditating, it kind of brings a sort of stillness to your life, you know, and helps you, I think it helps you to focus on what's important.
And were you raised a Catholic? In that Irish
Loosely.
way? Loose. Non-practicing.
I mean, you know, my mum still goes to church. We have a family priest, you know.
Okay.
And so, you know, it's always been part of my life, and I'm not adverse to it.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, I look at it for the beauty of it, not the sort of negativity. I look at it for the positive things that it brings, not sort of, you know. So
you talk about the Catholic experience. You take
any religion. You know, a lot of religions are quite oppressive, you know, particularly to gay people. You know, they say that we shouldn't be what we are. I just ignore that, really, because that's just, you know.
But you see goodness within these things and take the good bits or the kind bits.
You know, there's amazing people. You know, as I say, over the years, I've met amazing people. You know, our family priest is an amazing man.
Yeah. So that's you welcome ideas and people on a case-by-case basis.
I think at the end of
almost.
the day, don't you just kind of welcome people? You
Yeah, I
don't
agree.
think about whether somebody is, what their religious views are. It's only when they start talking and you think, oh my God, they think that. You know, and, you know, it's all narrative, what
Yes.
people think about you, what you think about yourself.
Yes.
And to a certain extent, you know, the past, as beautiful as it is, it doesn't exist anymore, and sort of wallowing in it isn't really particularly helpful to me.
Look forward and get on with it.
Yeah, well, just be here now.
Be here.
Yeah.
How's your mammy?
My mum's amazing.
Is she?
Yeah, my mum's hilarious.
What do you mean?
We're just, you know, she's 82 now, so she says what she thinks. You know?
No filter.
My friend made her a cup of coffee on the weekend. She goes, "What's that?" Because it was quite milky. And then she turned out she loved it. It was very funny. She goes, "Oh, it's great." But my mum, I said, say to my friend, my mum's just, don't worry, she loves you.
Yeah. That's her way of dealing with
Yeah.
it. So we're going to see you back on the television tomorrow night in Ireland.
I've done this program called The Big Deal, and it is, you know, I've done The Voice for 4 years. This is a different type of show because it's a music show with a sort of game show Jeopardy where people get tempted to leave with cash payments and people get very upset because I was shouting, "Take the money," you know,
Let's
a lot.
have a little look at
That's,
it.
you know, the point of the show is that, you know, and people feel like, oh, I'm not backing myself if I take the money, but then when they don't get the money and they don't go through, they've gutted.
You've got to deal with that.
$5,000 goes wafting away. But it's a really interesting show in terms of the way it plays with people's psychology, you know, and it's a variety show, so you get to see, you know, Irish bands, jugglers, you know, skaters. It's really fun.
All coming. Let's have a little look at a clip of this. The Big Deal.
La forza che tu dai, il desiderio che
I think the only thing I would say is just really work on your confidence and ownership. Victoria, you don't need to apologise and say, "Oh, if I don't get through." What you just did was so beautiful. I think that you need to believe completely in what you do, and then it's just going to get better and better.
I just think you transported us all to Italy. I felt like there was like a big cathedral. Oh, you guys absolutely nailed it. It was beautiful.
That's nice. I like that. I like what you did there because sometimes those shows can be a little cruel, George. And you're saying to her, no, you've got this talent. Like, lean into it.
Absolutely. I think you can always say something helpful to people, you know. And, you know, it was great being with Jedward. They were such a
How did you get
scream.
on with Jedward?
They're the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, they just kept
They're
coming
the
out with
loveliest
crackers.
lads.
I was like, what did you just say? One point they called me Yoda, which I thought was genius. I liked them. I knew I was going to like them. I had a feeling before I met them that I'd like them. You know,
They're good
because
souls,
They're
aren't
Librans.
they?
They're Librans. I get on with Librans.
Oh, is that what it is?
You're a Gemini, aren't you?
Yeah.
With an Aries moon.
Well, this I did not know.
I know, creepy.
That's pretty impressive. Is that just from our...
Googling.
Oh, that's okay. I thought you had this otherworldly gift,
Yeah, I know,
George.
it's so deep.
So what can we expect from you next? Because we'll see the show tomorrow. You seem to be always on the go. What are you up to?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing a lot of music this year because this is the first time I've had a year off. So I've really been getting back into my craft of songwriting. I've written about 97 songs this year.
97?
Yeah. And I looked at the last Kanye album, there's like 30 songs on there. I thought, I'm just going to put 60 on my next album. You know, because, you know, it only really matters to whom it matters. You know, the thing is, people say, well, why are you doing 60 songs? Well, why not? You know, I feel like I want to break some of the rules of the music business because it is the most weirdly oppressive industry. You're always being told you can't do this and you can't do that. And as a creative person, I don't want to be controlled. Yeah. So I'm just putting stuff out like as and when I feel like it. I'm not announcing it. I'm not saying it's an album or a single. I'm just kind of going against the grain a bit, and it's actually quite rewarding.
And liberating, I suspect.
It is liberating,
It's great to meet you, and I'm glad to see you're in a good place. You seem really happy. You've got a lovely bunch of people around you behind the scenes too, if I may say so. Thanks for being here, and you're always welcome on the show. You know that.
Thank you so much.
Boy George, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, George. Thank you.